is my mom as a young woman, the only photo I have. She was a typical Londoner, feisty and with a wry humour, and she needed it, because we lived in London during the Blitz of World War II. "Ha! Missed us that time, Hitler," she'd say, after a particularly near bomb blast. I was 7 years old when war was declared. I don't remember being scared because of Mom's optimism and calm acceptance of life. Make the best of things was her philosophy, and worry about that next week. Only one night in all that long time did I ever see her afraid. Gas masks were my first sign of war. We had to carry them everywhere in little cardboard boxes. "You just need to breathe normally," the teacher said. I can still remember the black, wet, rubbery smell as I sweated and struggled inside it. Evacuation was the next sign. What a choice parents had, letting their kids be evacuated to safety or keeping them in the target zones. I wasn't like the poor kids who were labeled like parcels and put on trains to unknown destinations with unknown people. I was lucky. Mom found some distant country relatives for me to go to. After several months, though, nothing seemed to be happening. The phony war, they called it. So like many other evacuees, I was brought home just in time for the Blitz. Shelters became a big part of our lives. Some people dug out Anderson shelters in their backyards. Some had Morrison shelters in the living room. I remember sitting on raw new planks in the tunnels scraped out in the park. The smell of wet earth from the walls, the damp sacking at the doorway, and the crowd singing to keep spirits high and drown out the sound of guns and bombs. Mom's marriage was a victim of war too. So at the height of the Blitz, she was alone with my toddler sister and me. As the bombing intensified, we trundled off to the underground every night. Between the last train at midnight and 5:15 a.m., when the first train roared through, we tried to sleep. I remember the hot, damp blast of air as the trains rushed in and the camaraderie and singing down there. It all seemed like a kind of party to me. But Mom must have been exhausted as month after month went by with so little sleep. Days she spent queuing for our rations. 2 ounces of butter or margarine, half a pint of milk, 2 ounces of cheese, 8 ounces of sugar, and about half a pound of meat per person per week. Our moms queued for fish, for bread, for vegetables, and any food that could be found. We even tried whale meat when things grew tough, but it was too disgusting even for the hungry. It must have been a daily struggle to keep us all fed. But everyone just carried on as normally as possible. In 1944, Hitler blasted London day and night with V-1 rockets, buzz bombs. They were untargeted and random, so we all learned to wait for the cutout of the oscillating drone of the engine. And in the silence we'd count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you reached 5, you'd survive that one. If not... One night I remember vividly. We couldn't go to the underground that night because my baby sister was sick. Mom laid us on blankets on the floor, and all night in the dark, she leaned over us. I couldn't understand why she was both shivering with cold and wet with sweat. I didn't realize then, as I do now, she was shielding us with the only protection she could provide, her own body. That was the only time she showed any fear at all. And it was fear for us, her 2 kids. That night she'd had it. Manned bombers she could take in her stride, but not these inhuman rockets. We were off to the evacuation office, and in a short while, Mom was alone in Scarborough, a strange town on the northeast coast. She had no work, no money, 2 children and faced a completely unknown future. "I'll worry about that next week," she said, as she energetically scrubbed the floor of the derelict old house on the cliff, which was our refuge. For her and us, the terror was over. We were all safe, and there were to be no more buzz bombs. I still wonder how Mom managed to keep us laughing and make us feel that all would be well, that right would triumph, and we would survive. It isn't only soldiers who show courage in war.